All right, what's going on? 3 o'clock, Chad here. U.S. Open opening round at Shinnecock. A group of 4 golfers atop the leaderboard at 2 under, including Wyndham Clark and Xander Schauffele. The Portland Fire topped Seattle last night by 5. They're going to get a few days off. They next play in Chicago on Wednesday. That tip-off will be at 5 o'clock. Checking the Major League scoreboard, the Mariners in Baltimore have a 3-0 lead on the Orioles, top of the 8th. Earlier finals, Blue Jays over the Red Sox in Boston 4-3. The Guardians double up the Brewers in Milwaukee 4-2, and the Twins down the Rangers in Texas 9-3. The Rip City Drive with Chad Doing is coming up next. To celebrate the New York Knicks World Championship, East Coast Earl is going to join me in studio right here in your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio 620.
Live from the Coors Light Studios, it's the Rip City Drive with Chad Doing. Coors Light, cold as the Rockies. Please drink responsibly.
I'm going to pull USA hard.
And it's a terrific opening day for Harry Kane in England to what they hope is their second World Cup title.
Corbin Carroll with a fly ball. It's hit into right field. And that one is gone. Well, he barreled that one. It's out of here for his 13th.
Runners in scoring position, and Freddie hits a high fly ball, deep center field, way back. It is gone! A home run for Freddie Freeman flips the score. The Dodgers now lead it 5-4.
They're saying, the city, that this may be the largest parade ever. It's all to celebrate the new NBA champions, the New York Knicks, who topped the San Antonio Spurs in the NBA Finals.
I don't see what other parades would match this one. 53 years in the making.
Strap in. The Rip City Drive with Chad Doing starts now.
All right, a couple of weeks ago on the show, I made a promise to my good friend East Coast Earl, huge Knicks fan, the biggest Knicks fan that I know. I said, bro, if the Knicks pull this off and win a championship, and at the time I was like, I don't know. I said, I promise you can come and hang out in the studio with me so we can celebrate the championship that so many thought would never happen. Well, it happened, and so today is that day, and East Coast Earl is in studio, and he brought goodies for both Shaq and I. But Earl, congratulations, my friend. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, that's right. Thank you for having me.
Now, what's it like? You were watching some of the parade today, and there was people everywhere, and I think the NYPD brought in 10,000 officers to help keep things under control. But how surreal was it for you to sit back and watch your town have a parade celebrating the Knicks championship?
Atmosphere down there trying to get in, but literally they got turned away. But just the atmosphere down there trying to get in, but literally they got turned away. But just the atmosphere and actually seeing everybody together. Like literally, I haven't seen New Yorkers together like that since 9/11. Yeah. You know what I mean? So, yeah, just to have a happy event go on at the same time, yeah, that was just crazy to see in New York.
All right, Earl, you were born in Yonkers. You spent a lot of your time in your younger days in upstate New York, but you're one of the true New York basketball fans. So can you kind of give us an idea? Because we've heard about this, especially throughout the finals, about New York basketball and what it means. But for you, for someone that grew up there, what type of connection do you and many others who grew up in the area have to the Knicks?
Man, it is like I said, that's the most unifying team that I know. Because when you go, I got friends that are Giants fans. I'm a Jets fan, right? You got friends that's Mets fans. I'm a Yankees fan. So, yeah, that one team, New York, it binds everybody together. You know what I'm saying? So it's a certain sense of pride and also misery up until now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so my buddy Travis Demers, the voice of the Blazers, like his grandma, he grew up in Westchester. She's the one that got him into Yankee baseball. But who was it for you? Was it a uncle, your father? Was it your grandpa? Who got you into Knick basketball at a young age?
It was basically my uncle Tim, and my dad.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, basically, I'll split time, from Yonkers to upstate New York, so visit my dad in the summertime, in Yonkers. And then that's when we would watch usually playoff games. So that's when I'm like, oh, wow, Patrick Ewing, Charles Oakley, Anthony Mason. Those people embody the city. You remember, back then it was a different style of basketball, you know what I'm saying? So,
yeah. That's why physical basketball, or the way the finals played out with the physicality, for a lot of people that didn't grow up watching the NBA. When we did, they're alarmed by that type of physicality. But when I see it, I'm like, oh, I like it because it reminds me of those days when, Oakley and Mason and the rest of those guys were doing some banging down low. I like that. So that's pretty awesome. I'm so glad you got to experience that. And I would imagine, I know that it felt like this for me as a Broncos fan late in Elway's career. I had just assumed, I'm like, great. I've just spent the last 15-plus years of my life wanting one thing to happen. It's never going to happen. He's not going to get a championship, and there's going to be the void in my life forever. And that's what I thought. And then he got over the hump and won a championship and then won another, and it was like the greatest thing ever. So were you at that point in your life where you're like, I've been through so much heartbreak and disappointment that I'm never going to see the Knicks win a title?
Yes, absolutely. I was at that point. And I'll tell you where I was at that point was last year when we lost Game 7 to the Pacers. And I'm like, oh, all of this is coming back. Losing to Reggie Miller all them years, what was it, 7 points in 6 seconds or something like that?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I was done with them. Like this year, I'm like, they'll be all right. We'll go ahead and ride. And I had that feeling all the way up until that Hawks series, and then they just flipped the switch.
Yeah, and then every game after that, 13 straight wins. What a ride that was. I guess for me, when I looked at the Knicks after last year, I thought going into the season, because you had the Halliburton injury with Indiana, we knew that Jason Tatum was going to miss the majority of the season with Boston. So I looked at the Knicks and I thought, that's my team. They should dominate the Eastern Conference and lock up the number 1 seed. And then you start watching them throughout the course of the regular season, and I kept waiting for them to click. And they had some stretches where they played good basketball, but they finished with 53 wins. They underperformed during the regular season. And over the first 3 games of the opening series against Atlanta, they got off to a slow start. So I was miffed by that. So what was your reaction going into the season with expectations, but yet seeing them kind of go through their struggles during the regular season?
Oh, yeah. Like I said, last year when they lost that series, I'm like, yeah, we're just going to – I thought it was going to be another repeat. I thought we was going to go ahead and get tripped up, lose to somebody, have a mediocre, regular season, and then stumble into the playoffs and then lose probably in the second round.
All right. So after they got through Atlanta, and, of course, they got down 2-1 based on C.J. McCollum late-game heroics. Well, they win that series because, they won the next 3 games. They win it 4-2, and then they take on – in their next series, the Philadelphia 76ers. At what point during that 13-game winning streak did you start to believe that winning a championship was possible?
I would say the point that I thought it was actually attainable for us to win that championship is when we came back in Game 1 against Cleveland.
Yeah.
From that big, I think it was down 29, I want to say. So
it was 7 minutes and 22 seconds on the clock. They were down by 22 points.
Yep.
They come back, tie it, and then they dominate the overtime period. And I'll always remember that game because it was the comments after the game that were intriguing to me. Donovan Mitchell was asked about the loss, and he made this point that, hey, it's a bad loss, but it's just one game. It's just a loss. And yet we've all watched sports our whole life. We all know that some losses are different than other losses, and I thought that could be an avalanche they wouldn't be able to recover from, and it turned out that was the case. When you're up by 22, 7 minutes to go in the game, you got to win that game. But when you don't, you're not going to have a look like that at Madison Square Garden again. And so I was like, they're in trouble. And they were.
Yeah, I agree with you there because, like I said, that game right there, I could just see you just look at the body language of them after that game. I'm like, they're not coming back. It's over. It's over. You can say, the coach can say they're going to win the analytic games or whatever the case is. For him to even say that, I knew it was a white flag there.
Yeah, Kenny Atkinson said some of the dumbest things throughout the course of a series I've ever heard in my life. The analytic take was amazing with expected wins, expected outcome. It's like, what are you talking about here? You're getting smoked. You're down 3-0, bro. But I love that comeback in game number 1 because I'll remember Mikal Bridges hit a ridiculous 3 where he was scrambling and got it up. It was a grenade right at the end of the shot clock. And then Shamet had that 3 that bounced around and went down, and they were able to tie up the game. And I was like, oh, this is going to happen. So that's pretty awesome, man. I'm so happy for you. And East Coast Earl is in studio, big Knick fan, and we're good friends. And you get a chance to celebrate this. And the best part about a championship, and I've learned this over the last, 30-plus years after Elway got his, it feels great to think about, to watch, and to remember it never goes away. And no matter what, you can always look back and be like, dude, that time, that win, the Game 4 comeback, all of it, like it's going to be around forever in your mind. And I love that about sports, don't you?
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
So what's been your family's reaction? Like, I'm sure you've been talking to a lot of your boys, a lot of your fam? Like, what's been the reaction of everyone you know?
Well, first of all, for the diehards, like, it's just been a lot of emotions. I don't know one person that is in my circle or, somebody that I grew up with in New York that wasn't emotional seeing them win that championship. Then also you got the bandwagon fans, but that's all good. There's room on the bandwagon, But, yeah, it's just like I said, it's different being from New York and seeing the reaction of that town, even watching it on TV and just seeing, like, wow, we can breathe.
Yeah. The other good thing, too, is you're a Jets fan, so the Knicks championship will help you get through another brutal football season, too. I mean, think about how your life has been wrecked, right? You grew up, you're a Knicks fan and a Jets fan, and you're like, what kind of a curse is this nonsense, right? Like that video of the kid that was floating around after the Jets got beat early in the season. He's like, look, man, I'm always going to be a Jets fan, but I hate this team. They always do this to me. And I'm like, everybody that heard that can relate to what he's saying. It's like, this team's going to kill me. I love them, but I don't want to love them, right?
Yep. So, yeah, I don't really care what the Jets do. It's like I said, I'll just go ahead and turn Game 4 on every time so I can feel better.
All right, I'm going to show this up to the camera because East Coast Earl, when he came in today, and I know him as Chef Earl, too, from his work over at Clark College, and we'll get into that here in just a moment. But I'm holding a bag of all-purpose seasoning blend by Chef Earl, and it's called Flavor Assassin. And it says top secret. So I did not know that you created your own seasoning blend. So talk to me about that. How did you come up with your own seasoning blend to where you're packaging it and being able to pass it out to people you know?
Yeah, so it's about a lot of research and development.
Yeah.
I'm blessed to, have the job at Clark College where it allows me to be very creative in culinary arts. But I've had this idea for probably 10 years now, and I finally got it to the point where I got a co-packer in production. So shout out to Classic Foods, Jake over there, holding it down locally. So yeah, that's the co-packer. My wife, bless her heart, she works on all the social media and the signage on there. So that's why it is the way it is. And yeah.
Where can people go to check out the product? Do you sell it from your own website? Is it from Amazon? Where do you go to do that?
I haven't really developed the selling part yet. There's one spot you can get it, and that's at Abbey Creek Vineyard out there in North Plains.
Oh,
so my
nice.
boy Bertoni Faustin that owns it here. He owns it down, and you can buy it in his bodega up there.
All right, so the ingredients here, smoked Spanish paprika, onion, cumin, oregano, garlic, chipotle, and black pepper. So I'm always curious because I love food creations. How long did it take you to come up with the right formula, right? Because when you're coming up with a seasoning blend, my guess would be, based on what I've seen from my grandma over the years growing up around Nana, that it's you continue to mess with the ingredients, right, until you get it right. So how long did it take you?
It took me probably about 4 years.
Wow.
Yeah, just to get it right because there was always something missing. And, just like equating into the sports, you have a play you draw, but they always got to put a little wrinkle in there, a little tweak or something until it's really, really where you want it. So, yeah, it took me about 4 years to develop and a lot of R&D and a lot of feedback from people because that's the main thing, right? I want to make sure that the people give me that honest feedback so it tastes good.
So when did you know that you had the formula down? What was the light bulb moment?
It was Culinary Federation.
Okay.
Yeah, so I took it through to a bunch of American Culinary Federation. Yeah, so I took it through to a bunch of American Culinary Federation chefs and trying to get their reaction. And yeah, this is probably the third time they've done this, and that third time, literally, no pun intended, was a charm.
You know what's cool about that? You talk about a jury of your peers. Damian Lillard will do that. When he puts together a new album or a new song, he invites people that he knows who work with music, right? He brings them into the same room, they listen, and then what he wants is their honest feedback. He doesn't want them to, give any type of sugar-coated comments. It's like, hey, is this good? What do you think? Give me your honest feedback. And so it's a jury of his peers, people he respects, but people that know music. And just like you, if you are using a seasoning blend and you go to people that know food, right, you can trust their feedback. Because if it's not right, they're going to tell you.
Exactly. And that's something I do on a daily basis is critique or, give constructive feedback to my students. But the thing is, to be a good instructor, you got to be able to take that as well. So, yeah, that's why I go to my peers, not afraid of it because they're going to tell you the truth,
All right, Chef Earl. East Coast Earl is in studio celebrating the Knicks championship. If you want to jump on board, you can do so, 503-248-0620. We'll come back, and we're going to talk about a lot of different things. But East Coast Earl's hanging out. Hope you're enjoying your Thursday. You got the... All right, my good friend East Coast Earl, the biggest Knick fan I know, is in studio hanging out. I promised him if the Knicks won the championship that he could come and hang out with me, and I love being around him. He is also the tenured professor of cuisine management at Clark College. I am a Clark graduate. I got my 2-year degree there before I went on to Washington State University. And Earl's been kind enough to have me out at Clark on back-to-back years to do my show from his restaurant over there at Clark, which is really awesome. Now, I know you're into food, and you brought in your seasoning, and we've talked about ingredients before, but my chiropractor's like, his name's Mitch. He's like one of the world's most interesting men. He is a great chiropractor, but at his yard, I go over to his house. He's got this giant garden, and he's got chickens, so he's got fresh eggs. He's always giving me stuff. So last time I was there, he gave me eggs, and then he gave me a jar of his red sauce, his red gravy that he makes. And he said, you got to try this on this pasta. He's very specific about everything. And today I went over there. I got more eggs because the fresh eggs you get from the chickens, different than the ones you're buying at the grocery store. It's not even in the same ballpark, Earl. And then he gave me a jar. He goes, you got to try this. It's one of my favorites. He made his own rhubarb jam. And I can't wait to try that. Don't you love fresh food that people are growing and putting together themselves, Earl?
Oh, yeah, man. As you probably know, we got our garden, right outside of our culinary institute. So, yeah, just having that, it tastes so much better. Because even though you think you might not like something, yeah, taste it from the garden instead of the store-bought. It's going to be night and day.
All right, you talked about your garden. Now, if I recall, one of your students, so I think they were doing some landscaping or changing on the campus, right? And one of your students came up with an idea where they could utilize some of the space with the changes that were being made. And so you actually got it okayed, and you guys put in certain garden-type items where you're growing, fresh herbs and vegetables to use in the restaurant.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's a project, not just for the students, but my right-hand person, Chef Sonny, shout out to him. He's the mastermind behind that whole project. So, yeah, literally we got way more than just herbs. We got just about every brassica. So your cabbage families, Swiss chard, collard greens, all that good stuff. And then on top of that, we got a quince tree, a couple pear trees, apple trees, 6 different varieties of berries. So, yeah, took about 5 years to come to fruition, but yeah, it's sprawling, and I can't wait to go ahead and actually experiment with some of that stuff in the fall.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. So who was it in your life where you made that connection to food? Like when I grew up, I was around my Nana. I was over at her house all the time, and I spent a lot of time around my mom, and they always talked about how, they were good cooks and they could bake different things, and they both told me that they just loved food, and so they enjoyed experimenting and trying different things out. But who was that connection with you where you started to develop your love of food to where it led to do what you're doing right now?
I would say both. My mother, awesome cook, but she learned from my grandmother.
Yeah.
My grandmother, she had 13 brothers and sisters. She was a sharecropper from North Carolina. So literally, growing up in upstate New York, we had a garden. And I didn't realize how different we were until I go to school and start talking about what I did for the summertime. So I'm thinking that, preserving corn and, pickling things was normal. And then people ask, like, what are you doing? We're going to, like, Action Park and Disney and all of this stuff. So that's when, third grade, when I'm like, okay, maybe this is a little different. But, yeah, the inspiration, that's a part of our family heritage is growing your own stuff. So I just thought it was second nature, so I didn't realize that this will lead up to where I'm at right now.
That's great. My first couple of jobs, Earl, were in restaurants, being around food and working in the food service industry. I'm glad I got that experience. I thought it was terrific. Did you start out young when you got your first couple of jobs? Was it also in the restaurant industry?
Yep. First job at McDonald's.
All right.
Yeah, it didn't last too long, but it got me to the point where I'm like, I understand food because I'm looking at it as from the lens of a customer at one point.
Yeah.
But when you're doing it, you get humbled real quick and you get a better appreciation for the people that's actually serving your food and dealing with, disgruntled customers.
Okay, I got to ask you a question. You would have knowledge since you worked there. My cousin Darren worked in McDonald's for years when he was in high school and the first couple years of college in Denver. And it was great on Saturdays. He would take me in and he would save the Happy Meal toys for me. So he'd get me some hot cakes, and he would save up the toys, and so he'd always hook me up, which I thought was great. But I just talked to someone the other day who worked there, and they told me something that blew my mind. Did the pancakes, the McDonald's hot cakes, do they come frozen?
Yes, sir.
No!
Yes, sir.
I
They
did
don't
not
cook
know
anything
that.
in that restaurant, man. I don't even call it a restaurant. They're the biggest food pushers in the whole entire world. That's how I look at McDonald's.
So it's not none of it's made fresh.
Oh, no.
Oh my gosh, it just destroyed my whole little world. I've thought about this for a long time where ignorance is bliss. There's certain things that once I get the information, I'm like, I did not need to know that information. But it makes sense now. It's like, oh, that's why they all taste the same, and that's why they're all identical in every store you go into because they're all coming in frozen.
Exactly.
So they just heat them up. That is so... Dude, that just ruined my fantasy about things because little Chad would go into a place like McDonald's and think this is the greatest thing ever, right?
Yep. But yeah, nothing is all processed, and that's why they can keep it at such low cost,
But that's what it comes down to. They're trying to keep their costs at a certain level, right?
It's all about, and this is the corporate model, they're going to take the cheapest ingredient and try to make as much money as they possibly can off of it without, divulging all the stuff behind the scenes.
So what's your take on a fast food place like In-N-Out that has where they supply their own stores? They also, I believe, have their own cattle ranch, so they're producing their own beef. Like, do you look at a fast food restaurant like that differently than maybe someone else like McDonald's or these others? What's your take on that?
Oh, no, absolutely. Yeah, In-N-Out, that's a perfect example. Their customer service is great. They source their food, from certain places. So people like that, that try to differentiate themselves from fast food because they don't consider themselves fast food.
Yeah.
And that's another thing. Once you start getting into that lens, you could look at all of them and paint them with a broad brush. But no, you got hyper local places. I mean, Burgerville, I would even put up there to an extent, being that they are locally owned.
Yeah, locally owned and fresh ingredients.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, some people complain about the price point, but some of the food items there are delicious, no question about it. So, like, what do you think is the most important thing, whether it's fast food or a nice restaurant? Do you look at like food quality, fresh ingredients, local ingredients? Is it the customer service? Is it a blending of the both? Like what is it what's the foundation piece that makes a great restaurant in your mind?
I would say a combination. Definitely service. That is key. Growing up in New York, working after culinary school, working in New York City and going through, Michelin restaurants. Yeah, that's when you learn about service. So if you ever watched The Bear, right?
Yes.
That is service, and that's one thing that differentiates a great restaurant from just being mediocre.
You know what's funny about New York, and I love this. I was there a couple of years ago for a Yankee-Dodger series and spent several days in the city, and I loved it. But I noticed a couple of things with service. One, if you go to Madison Square Garden, the ushers, they're wearing suits, they have ties, and you can tell that job is not just a casual job. Like, the gentleman asked, do you know where your seats are at? Do you know where you're going? And then he gave us, without even asking, a brief description of the layout of the arena so that we knew kind of where to go to get different things. It was like, I was very impressed. Then someone told us to go check out a steakhouse that had been there. It's been there for, a long time, Gallagher's. And so I went there one night to have a meal at Gallagher's, and that was the experience that you're talking about. Sit down at the table, and it's cool because when you walk in by the front door, you can look into the clear window. They got the cooler with all the meat that's aging in there.
Yep.
Don't you love that?
Oh, yes.
But when you sit down, the server's right there, and then they have knowledge of the entire menu. They'll give you recommendations. They'll tell you how something needs to be prepared or the best way to prepare it, and then what pairs well with the meal you're going to have. And so that experience being in New York at Gallagher's, I walked out and I realized that the food was delicious, the service was exceptional, and the atmosphere and the ambiance of a true New York steakhouse, like, that's when I was like, oh, okay, that's what it's all about. And I didn't mind paying more for that experience because from the moment I walked in to the moment I left, it was perfection.
Exactly.
Everyone was on the same page.
Yep. And that's key. That's kind of where I added on what I was saying, the service piece. Yeah, I want to have good food.
Yeah.
So if a server can go ahead and get excited about something on the menu, you already got me because I already know you've already eaten that. You're not just trying to sell me the highest thing on the menu. So, yeah, that genuineness and having integrity, that's very key. That's why I've got some repeat places I go to, and I keep a pretty tight circle with that.
What are a couple of the repeat places you like to hit?
Well, I will say I haven't been there in a while, so if he's listening, Chef Sosa over there at Elements. So Elements is one of the most underrated restaurants probably in this area, right? It's right there on Main Street in Vancouver.
It's awesome.
Yep. So you can vouch, right? I mean, it's fine dining, but you're not paying exorbitant prices. It's going to be a little less expensive than it is on the waterfront, but the food is going to knock them out the water.
Yeah, Elements is terrific. And the service, when I went, was exceptional.
Absolutely. Absolutely. No, he knows what he's doing. And
the best way I can describe Elements is that I felt like I was family when I went in, right?
Yep. And that's how he has it. And that's kind of how, if you ever come to our restaurant on Clark, it's the same way, just because we were trained in that same vein. It's all about family, right? That's why we have family meal for the students every day. That's important because, once again, we're breaking bread together, but we also use that as a time to talk about, successes and then what I like to call areas of opportunity, things that we need to improve.
Yeah, see, it might be different for, families now, but it was probably the same. You and I are about the same age. But when I was growing up, and you can tell me if it was the same for you, like, dinner time was an important time because, mom would, create the meal, and it was mandatory that we all had to sit at the table, right? Mom, dad, my brother, and I would sit at the table and we would eat, but that's where we carried on conversation. We'd catch up on the day. We'd talk about different things that were going on in our lives, and then we would enjoy the meal at the same time, right? So it was almost like, it was not just a meal where you're getting nourishment, but in a way it was kind of cathartic because it was like family time together. Did you have the same type of experience?
Absolutely. Yeah, we had meals every day. It was like clockwork, you know. You probably remember, like, when your mother's screaming outside, you playing and like, hey, dinner's time. Yeah. That was kind of the way the neighborhood was for me. And yeah, definitely sitting down and no cell phones, no TV on. Everybody's talking. Everybody's, breaking bread. Literally, that's what breaking bread was. But I'll tell you, the most exceptional meals for me was Sunday. And I went to church. So I'm a church boy. And Sunday after morning service, and you have a big meal with literally extended family, extended friends. You have everybody over, and it used to be at my grandmother's house. Yes, breaking bread on a Sunday, pull out all the stops. Everybody's dressed up nice and everything. And I miss those things. But
yeah, that's the way it was in my house too. We'd go to church, and usually on Sunday mornings, I could smell the beginnings of what we were going to be eating later. A lot of times my mom would use the crock pot, and she would, have a roast going, but, she would have all the fixings starting to prepare, so when she got home, it would be not too far from serving time, right? Same thing. And then we'd sit down with Nana, Papa, Mom, Dad, like the entire family would be there, and, you would sit down. I always had to sit at the kids' table. That's the funny thing about back then. Like, we had the kids, we had a separate table in a separate room, and we were not allowed to sit at the adult table. It was very clear, right? So the kids had their conversation, the adults had their conversation, but now I look back on those times a lot more fondly because I realized what was going on there. It's good.
Yep. No, absolutely. I can definitely relate to what you're talking about there with the kids' table.
Right.
And then you graduate to the adult table, and that's when I can start talking to my Uncle Tim about sports and really knowing what it's all about. So, yeah.
All right. So if you're going to talk to your uncle right now, would you guys agree on who the greatest Knicks basketball player of all time is?
Because
I'll tell you who I think it is, and you can tell me if you would agree with this or not. But in my lifetime, and again, I don't have the benefit of growing up watching Walt Clyde Frazier or Earl the Pearl or Willis Reed, but I always look at Patrick Ewing like as the kind of the gold standard for Knick basketball. My guess is you probably feel the same because you grew up at the same time I did.
Absolutely. And yeah, that's when, I started watching basketball in the late 80s. That's when Patrick Ewing was on the team. And there was a buzz, around that city at the time. Like, oh, my gosh, we finally got somebody that's going to lead us to the promised land, which never happened. But, yeah, I would definitely say longevity-wise, skill, big man. I'm in that era, out of all of those Hall of Fame centers, I still think he has the best jump shot out of any center. Defense. Yeah, hands down, Ewing will be my choice. My uncle will probably, because he's, He saw Clyde play. He would probably say either Clyde or Bernard King for a personal favorite.
And that's why I try to always I don't like to give too strong a takes on guys I didn't grow up with. Like, I never had a chance to see Wilt Chamberlain play, but the guys I know that did, they tell me how dominant he was and how he changed the game. And so I'm going to lean on their understanding. Same thing with the Blazers. Like, I saw Bill Walton when he played for the Celtics when he won a championship with Bird, but he wasn't the same player he was when he was dominating with Portland before the injuries kicked in. So I can't relate to that. But I did grow up with Bird, Magic, MJ, and then we got Kobe, and then we got LeBron. And, of course, in our era, think about all the great centers, Patrick Ewing, Hakeem Olajuwon, and the list goes on and on and on. Shaq, David Robinson. Like we're pretty fortunate in our lifetime to see some of the players we have.
Yeah. And at that time, you remember how important the big man, the center, was to every team.
Yeah, because the game was inside out, right?
Yes, exactly.
Always.
Exactly. Yeah, no 3-pointers all out the arena. If you had an 80 or 90-point game, you already knew that's what it was, defense.
Absolutely. And even for great players like Bird and Magic, they were getting the ball inside to Kareem and Parrish to kick off an offensive possession. It was going to start inside and then it'd work the ball around and see how things shook out, which is pretty interesting. But I'm glad that we had a chance to watch that. So in your New York fandom, Earl, how do you rank them? Yankees, Jets, Knicks. Like right now you probably say Knicks because they just won a title, but who's always been your number one of the teams that you root for in New York?
Well, number one has always been the Knicks. I mean, because basketball is 1A to football, 1B to me. Just playing the sport and actually, having that connection. Because, like I said, the Jets has been a hot mess forever. Remember Ken O'Brien when they should have took Marino. So things like that, I would definitely say, leaning towards the NBA.
Yeah, because you love basketball.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, basketball's great. Yeah, the Knicks. And, I grew up as a baseball fan. The Cardinals were the closest thing to Oklahoma. So what I've always had with baseball is I just have a bunch of different players that I enjoy cheering for. So there are a lot of guys on those Yankee teams with Joe Torre. I love Derek Jeter. I love Tino Martinez. In fact, last night I pulled up, I was watching something on MLB Network, and that kind of sparked a desire in my mind to look up some home runs. So I pulled up the Tino and the Scott Brochus home runs in the Arizona series that they lost in 7 games. But back-to-back days where those two guys hit home runs to put the Yankees on top of the series, like moments like that I remember. Guys like that are cool.
Yeah, that's the thing. Being a Yankees fan, went through the Steve Sachs era and all of that where they were, and then we got
Jeter.
Yeah, Jeter. The closer, my God.
Mariano Rivera.
Yeah, Rivera. Yeah, so seeing that, I kind of got spoiled, and then culinary school, I went to school in New England, so being a Yankees fan with a bunch of roommates from Boston, right? Yeah, it was pretty good.
That's funny, man. I talked to Travis, and he grew up in New York. He said it was interesting because you had all these different neighborhoods. You had the Jewish neighborhood, you had the Italian neighborhood, so you had all these people coming together. But he did say that any of the Boston fans or friends he had from Boston, he said they're all annoying.
Oh yeah. And like I said, I had 2 roommates, one for Dorchester, one from Mattapan, and that's when no New England team was good, and, the Yankees was on top, so I had a lot of bragging rights, and then this guy, Tom Brady, came through. So.
Oh, yeah. All right, Chef Earl hanging out here on the Rip City Drive to celebrate the Knicks championship. I hope you're enjoying your afternoon. You got the Rip City Drive in your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio. told me something. Coach Earl, my man hanging out in the studio, biggest Knicks fan I know. You just told me something cool. Earl, my man hanging out in the studio, biggest Knicks fan I know. You just told me something cool. You actually ran into Spike Lee once. And the reason why we bring this up is someone on the YouTube chat said, hey, Chad, it's nice of you to have Spike Lee on the show today. And it is funny because you have one of the most distinct voices I know. And by the way, my former producer, Eric, who you know, he wanted me to give you a shout out. I talked to him today. I said, dude, East Coast Earl's coming in the studio. So he wanted me to say, what's up? But what was that like? Where were you at when you ran into Spike?
Yeah, that was a newer show, New York. I forgot what movie he was filming. But yeah, we just happened to be in that area at the time. And one of my cousins, he actually was an extra in that movie.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so he's like, hey, come down. And yeah, we actually got, talked to him for about 2 minutes. Like, hey, Spike, man, I'm a big fan. Do the right thing. Gave him dap. And, as New Yorkers, you don't hound him. You just keep it moving. You know what I'm saying?
But he was cool.
Oh, yeah. Real cool. You know what I mean?
What I respect about Spike is he's not like a bandwagon fan. Like, he's like you. He's like a legit, true Knick fan who's been there through thick and thin, right? He's suffered, and now he has a chance to celebrate.
Yes, sir. And, yeah, that's the thing, yo. Like I said, it's still surreal at this moment because it's like, just been in misery for so many years and saying, yeah, we're never going to do it, and then just have this surprise of this team, literally team coming together, man. Yeah, it's awesome. It's so awesome.
That's so cool. All right. So today is actually a very important day in your life. Your wife is celebrating her birthday, right?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy how everything, happens for a reason. Yeah.
It's great. So you're here hanging out with me, and today is your wife's birthday. So what is your wife's name?
Erin.
Erin, happy birthday from East Coast Earl, from Michael Shacker and myself. We wish you the very best. And you're getting ready to take off tomorrow. You're going to head out to Hood River. Where are you going, Lost Lake?
Yep, Lost Lake. Yeah, we're going to spend the weekend there and, just relax, get off the grid for a little bit and, no cell phones, no computers, Now,
are you camping out there or?
We got a
do brothers
we got
camp?
A cabin. Yeah.
Right?
We got a cabin.
Okay.
Yeah, my boys will laugh at me like, yo, you going in the woods, dude, in a tent? No. I gotta have a little bit of luxury, you know what I'm saying? Running water and all that.
Dude, it's so funny. Like what you learn as you get older. Like the guy, he's a great friend and a mentor, John Phillips. He's the one that gave me my first opportunity in radio when I was younger. And we're out there on the golf course once, and he was putting on like sunscreen. And I'm like, wait a second, like brothers can burn? And he pulled down his sock. He goes, look, what do you think that is? I had no idea. And so we were laughing about that,
Yep. No, it can happen. And honestly, I didn't realize that until I went to school in Hawaii for a little bit.
You went to school in Hawaii?
Yeah, UH.
And that's when you were exposed to the fact that the sun could actually damage you.
Yep. Took a nap in the North Shore. Yeah, for about 45 minutes. And I remember a couple of days later, I'm looking in the mirror. I'm like, what's this on my nose? And so skin started peeling. I'm like, oh, this is crazy. So yeah, that was the news to me. So yeah, this was wild.
That's why I love Bill Burr's breakdown on white guys needing to utilize lotion and moisturize because we get the ashy elbows and stuff, But the bros know how to use the lotion, right? Better moisturizers.
Yeah, all about the cocoa and shea butter. That's what's up.
The cocoa and shea butter. I know.
I got
to use that. I don't want the ashy elbows either. But I love North Shore. Like my dad did a lot of work out in Hawaii, so I've had a chance to go out there a few times, and because he would be out there by himself, and he's like he'd have a lanai, so he's like, come on, you can hang out. So I'd go out there. I love North Shore. Like I was over there during a swell, and I just couldn't believe the cojones that those local guys have, and the waves that not only are they willing to tackle, but they desire those big waves to come in.
Yeah,
I was I was watching. I was like, my hands were getting clammy watching. I was like, that you're gonna die, and then they would come out of it, and they would just be like, that was the greatest thing ever. I was just impressed.
Yeah, more respect to them. I mean, basically, when I was out there, I don't get into the water past my waist. I'm that scared, But more respect to them. It's beautiful to watch, but yeah.
Well, the funny thing is, as I get older, like I used to go swimming everywhere, lakes, and I thought going in the ocean was great. But as you get older, you're like, wait a second, I don't know what's down there.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't know what's down there. And everyone says, oh, don't worry, the sharks won't come up that close. I'm like, how do you know that?
Exactly.
What if they're really hungry, right? I just don't want, I guess what it is that I can't control the fact that I am going to die. I just don't want to be consumed by another beast.
Absolutely.
So if I can prevent that from happening, I'm going to do my best, right? How long were you in Hawaii?
So I was there for about a little over a year and a half.
Yeah. Did you enjoy it?
I enjoyed it, and I enjoyed it a little too much because, my GPA went down quite a bit. Going to Waikiki Beach, Diamond Head, and especially the North Shore. I partied a lot.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed the natural resources of Hawaii.
Yeah.
So,
There's a lot of great natural resources over there for sure. But I've talked to. I went over there once with our radio show. Gavin and I went. The guy I used to do the show from at a different station, and so we were being hosted by a certain hotel, and the lady that ran the hotel, her husband was from New York and he ran construction in New York, and then he started his own company when she got the job out in Hawaii. And he said the hardest thing to adjust to was the people he hired, the locals, that he would be in the middle of a workday and they're like, we'll be back.
Yes, island time.
They got to go catch a wave.
Yes, sir.
And so he realized, I can't. He just had to embrace their way of life.
Exactly.
Go catch your wave and then come back and we can finish up.
And that's the best thing to do in Hawaii is be respectful for the locals,
But sometimes he would show up. They'd have like an early arrival. They would be like a Post-it note, like, we'll be back.
Yep.
And he knew what that meant. All right, we'll come back. We got more of East Coast Earl. Chef Earl in studios. We celebrate the Knicks championship. You got the Rip City Drive on your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio. World Cup. It's now 4 o'clock. Chad here, checking the FIFA World Cup score. It's now 4 o'clock. Chad here, checking the FIFA World Cup scoreboard. Canada over Qatar 3-0. Checking the Major League scoreboard right now. The Mariners taking on the Orioles, and they get the shutout by a final of 3-0. Twins over the Rangers 9-3. Guardians 4, Brewers 2, and the Blue Jays over the Red Sox by a final of 4-3. That game was in Boston. U.S. Open is kicked off at Shinnecock. A group of 4 golfers on the leaderboard at 2 under, including Wyndham Clark and Xander Schauffele. And the Portland Fire topped Seattle last night. Their next game's coming up next week on Wednesday against Chicago with a tip-off at 5 o'clock. East Coast Earl hanging out in studio with me as we celebrate the Knicks championship here on the Rip City Drive. Now, Shacker knows I love Bruce Hornsby. And he just had an interview, a sit-down with Rick Beato on YouTube. I'd encourage you to check it out. He is a fascinating individual. All right, the tenured professor of cuisine management, also Chef Earl, also the biggest Knicks fan I know, hanging out in studio today. I promised him if the Knicks won the title, he could do so, and he's chilling with me right now. And we're also celebrating his wife's 40th birthday. They're going to take off to celebrate tomorrow, which is really cool. But I want to talk to you about your program at Clark. I've been over to the site a couple of times to do shows and talk to some of your students. But for those who don't know, give me a breakdown on the culinary program that you lead over at Clark College. Like, I think you have 2 different programs that students can go through. What are the 2 different programs, and what are you trying to accomplish with those programs?
Yeah, so a little backstory. The Culinary Institute at Clark has been around since 1958.
1958.
Exactly. And before, my predecessor used to say it's the best kept secret in Clark County. I've been trying to change that for the last 10 years because that's the last thing you want is to have your restaurant a secret, unless you're a speakeasy. But no, we have 2 different programs there. So we have a 1-year certificate program. So literally, if you just wanted to go in and learn the fundamentals of cooking, the basics, and at the end of that 3-term year, then you get a certificate of achievement, and you'll be sufficient enough to be, a line cook in a restaurant. Excuse me. We also have a 2-year associate's degree program. So it's associate's degree of technology. So that's if you want to do more management. So after the 2 years, you'll have enough skills to hopefully be in a sous chef role or an assistant manager role. Serve Safe, we do all of that Serve Safe certification, so that's a national certification through the National Restaurant Association. So yeah, we offer a couple of other certifications on top of your degree. And on top of that, we're probably the lowest cost institute within 120 square miles. We're the only one with an accredited degree. So $17,000 for your 2-year degree, and then just over $8,000 for your 1-year certificate.
That's terrific. And with the restaurant that's on site, so I would imagine your students get real life experience in the restaurant too.
Oh, yeah. And, unfortunately, we only open 2 days a week, and that's all we can do because, is that thin line between being education and, being real work for profit. So, yeah, they get a taste of it. We also have catering, so we cater within our Clark campus. Sometimes we'll have pickup orders. We have a grill area outside, so more quick service. So they get everything from fine dining to catering to quick service. We have grab and go, and we also have a full retail bakery. That's a whole different program, but we work, in tandem. And they have, if you want some of the best pastries in Clark County, go to our retail bakery. They make everything from scratch, everything from their croissants, their artisan breads, and then my personal favorite, their chocolate tarts.
Yeah, no, it smells wonderful. What impressed me when you gave me a tour, you took me back behind the scenes. When I walked back there, it reminded me of being in a restaurant, like, being in the restaurant biz, because you've got, your dry pantry, you've got the full walk-in, like everything you would see at a restaurant, you've got right there on site. Great training area for the students.
Absolutely. And we got this thing, we call it Utopia. because the health inspector even said we have the cleanest kitchen in Clark County. We always keep it that way. But when I say utopia is we have 20,000 square feet. I mean, there's not too many facilities that have the space, the equipment, and the ingredients that we have. So a lot of the students that leave, they come back and they're like, oh my gosh, we missed this place because, like you saw our pantry, everything's alphabetized, everything's in order. And then they go to a restaurant where people aren't even taking care of food safety. Yeah, that's when they get a little miffed. So, yeah, we make sure we challenge the students, but we want them to understand you don't just have to be a restaurant chef. So that's why we have all these different entities within one umbrella.
Like, what are some of the different jobs for the people that take the 2-year program? What are some of the different jobs you've seen students go on to get?
Oh, yeah. So it varies. Put it this way. So connections, that's very important to have in this industry. It's a very small industry. I mean, I've been around. I've visited 30 different states, So just having people in that connection and having a Rolodex of people to lean on. I'll say we do everything from senior living facilities because that seems to be, I would say, not our main focus. But, there's a lot of people that's retiring. And then the people that are retiring now, they don't want just, mediocre food. They want actually fine dining food. So that's a big place where we put people. The public school systems, we have students going into that, being chefs. And then, if you really want to, we have 2 students that went out and worked in Michelin restaurants, which I'm going to next week. I'm going to actually visit one of my students in Chicago in Sepia, 1-star Michelin restaurant. He actually works here as a line cook. So literally from graduating last year to now, he's a line cook in a Michelin restaurant. Sky's the limit. And I also got a student right now that's at Walt Disney World, where I used to work.
Oh, that's awesome. So what's it like for you as a teacher when you have students who have graduated and gone on to work in different places, when they reach out to you and you find out how they're doing and you're seeing the success they're having based on the work they did with you through the program?
That's something that I like to call relationship currency, because literally that's how I count how rich I am in terms of career.
Yeah.
Because I want somebody to be better than me. And just for people to come back to me, we just had alumni week a couple of weeks ago, and people that came back 9 years ago and remembered, like, hey, I remember I knew nothing. Now I'm running this whole entire corporation.
Yeah.
So things like that, that's, to me, the best reward. Is better than monetary value because, right, you can't take money with you, but you can always, remember that you help somebody in need. And that's where we're at as a community college. We want to make sure that, I would love everybody to stay in the Clark County community, but once again, I want to make sure that you have a value of life, right?
Yeah.
You want to make sure that you do that. So, yeah, having that feedback and positivity, that's kind of where I always try to be about, and that's why I'm so fortunate to be in the position that I am. It's about giving back.
That's terrific. East Coast Earl is hanging out with me in studio. So give me a walkthrough on the 2-year program. So you start year 1 and 3 quarters, right? They go winter, spring, winter, fall, spring, or fall, winter, spring.
Yep.
So give me kind of a walkthrough, like from when they start, some of the things they're going to learn, and what that builds up into year number 2 before they graduate.
All right, yeah. So, excuse me.
It's okay.
Just drinking water.
No, go ahead and take a drink of water. East Coast Earl clearing his throat right now, with a deep, beautiful voice like you. You do whatever you need to take care of that thing, man. I got Spike Lee in studio right now, hanging out, getting all choked up. What's up, brother?
Yeah.
So give me the walkthrough.
So, yeah, when you enter the program, your first 10 weeks of the program, so that's in the fall, we're going to go over the basics.
Yeah.
So, literally, that's focusing on all Serve Safe. So, what Serve Safe is through the National Restaurant Association is for anybody that's taking a food handler's test here in Oregon or Washington.
Yeah.
It's like that, but it's about 100 times harder. It talks about, preventing pathogens, just keeping food safe, time and temperature control. So that's what you go through mainly for those 10 weeks. You also do some hands-on cooking. So you're going to know how to butcher a chicken. You're going to know how to properly hold a knife, how to hone a knife, how to sharpen a knife. So it's just a basic introduction on what you would need to do to be restaurant ready.
Yeah.
And it's also our hardest term because that's the term when you figure out if you want to be in this industry or not. And that's usually when we have a lot of attrition because a lot of people come in thinking that they're going to be on Food Network or they're going to be a personal chef after this or they're going to be the next influencer.
Yeah.
But you can't do that without a basis of, fundamentals. So that's kind of why we put that front-loaded first, learn the basics, and then when you go to the winter term, that's when we start getting more complex, like stocks and sauces and compound sauces, things like that. So it's all based on French classic cuisine cooking. But at the same time, if you just wanted to go ahead and refine some of your skills, that's all right. But just know that you're going to be learning at the same level that somebody is that's going into the industry.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense. And, who knows, maybe through the program, you may start out thinking I'm going to go in one direction, but as you learn, you may realize there's some other aspect of the industry that you like, and someone may turn in a different direction, right?
Absolutely. And that's the thing. That's why I love Clark County and Vancouver area, is because we got so many different avenues you can go into the hospitality industry. You don't just have to be a chef. Literally, I got a lot of farmer friends, right? So I had a couple of students that didn't even know that they can go ahead and be a farm help hand. And I had students that did that, and they're actually making a living doing that because now they don't have to go ahead and be in a hot kitchen all the time, but they're still in food. They still have that connection.
Do you also teach, do they learn about, like food costs and how to keep that down? Like, because I know that's a big, from some of the restaurant owners I've talked to, like food costs, labor costs, like those challenges that they face that are very real right now.
Oh, yeah, we definitely teach a lot of food costing, pricing, things of that nature. Because the margins in this industry is thin, especially if you're opening a restaurant, right? Unless you have because mainly your profits going to come from the bar. So now, what happens if you don't have a bar? Now you're going to rely on your food just to be the standoff. So it's all of these things you got to worry about. And I would say cooking, that's the easy part, is managing people. And I'm talking on both sides, managing your own staff and then customer expectations. Yeah, that in itself, that's something that, when we have the restaurant, that's how we can get those scenarios in there. Like, oh, wow, the customer isn't always right. But guess what? They're actually paying the bills. So you better make sure that they are satisfied.
How challenging was that for you to learn how to manage your crew at Clark and to deal with students? Like, it's not something that, some people have natural leadership qualities and it comes naturally for them, but it's not easy to learn. And I'm sure you're always learning new things every day. But how was that process for you?
I would say it's always difficult, especially when you're in a new situation. But I always look at, past experiences. That's the main thing. When I say experience matters in the food service industry, yes, it matters.
Yeah.
And I would say some of the worst experiences that you have is going to be your most important lessons. Because once again, you're going to realize how to go ahead and fix that situation moving forward. So, going to Johnson & Wales University, that set a foundation for me because it was like military, Your pants had to be, pleated every day. You had to go ahead and iron a T on the back of your chef coat with no more than 3 inches from each shoulder blade.
Yeah.
So it taught you standardization. And then going to Walt Disney World after that, the best customer service, place in the whole entire world, that taught you consistency.
How long were you down there at Disney?
So at Disney, I did my internship there first, and that was 8 months. And then I got hired on. And so when I was in Hawaii, having fun and flunked out of college, I had to make a call back to Florida. So that's why I say never burn the bridge. You never know if you're going to need to cross it again. So
I know a lot of people that worked at Disney when they were younger. Travis Demers, the voice of the Blazers, spent some time at Disney, but back then especially, like their premium on service, you learn a lot on how to care for people, right? Through the customer service angle.
Oh yeah, I would tell you what. When I got rehired at Disney, you got a 2-week orientation that's just about culture and the customer before you even go to your kitchen. So it's ingrained in you.
So it's the number one priority for them.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You don't have any customers, you ain't paying no bills.
Isn't that the truth? All right, more with East Coast Earl and his story. We'll come back on the Rip City Drive. Hope you're enjoying your Thursday afternoon. You got your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio 6. All right, East Coast Earl just said something pretty sweet. So you're going to Chicago for work, right?
Yes, sir.
So you're going to a White Sox game, but then I had mentioned in the update the Fire are going to be playing the Sky in Chicago. So you're going to go to a Fire game?
I'm trying to double dip because earlier that day is the White Sox game, but in the evening is also the Fire game, and it's within, I want to say a mile apart. So I'm trying to do both games there.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I'm all about, it's one of my favorite things to do, but I love going to different places in the country and seeing sporting events.
Yep, same here. I mean, I'm probably at, 28 baseball stadiums.
28?
Yeah. Every time, I travel around, dude. I travel around.
What has been, take New York out of it, but like what's your favorite stadium that you've been to?
I would say right now, and it's just because I went there last year, man, PNC Park, Pittsburgh. Man, hands down, it gave me a feel of almost like the Bay Area. So,
Yes.
The Giants. Because you still got the river out there,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
You still got the sight lines, man. But
How great is the view of the city when you're in the stadium?
it's awesome. It's awesome. I was right there, right behind the third base line.
Yeah.
So literally, I had the sight lines and everything. But that city, yeah, I even though Pittsburgh, I'm a New Yorker, but I can respect the fans there, man.
Yeah.
And just the atmosphere was great.
Okay, PNC Park is on my list. That's a place I definitely want to go for the reasons that you just described. I've heard the character of the ballpark and the views of the city are spectacular, but the atmosphere was awesome too.
Yeah, and then walking over the bridge. Yeah, oh my God, Roberto Alomar Bridge.
Yeah,
just walking over there. It's one of them things I never experienced as a baseball fan because usually you're just in this big ugly arena. Milwaukee. That's another one. Oh my gosh,
Is it
Milwaukee.
pretty sweet?
I love it. Nostalgia. You got Robin Yount out there. If you're into baseball, you got to go to Milwaukee, hands down.
Gosh, that's so awesome. And you're right, San Francisco is spectacular.
Yes.
Because you're looking out over the water, and they usually have like a big barge out there, and it's
Yep.
just like, I can't believe the bay is like right there. It's wild.
It is. Yeah. So to go in there, that's another one of my favorite stadiums.
Have you been to the new Yankee Stadium?
I have not.
Oh, interesting. You have not been to a Yankee game.
Nope. I've been to the old stadium, and I think that's another reason why I don't want to really go to the new one.
Yeah, because it's going to ruin it for you.
Yes.
Well, I never had a chance to go to the old Yankee Stadium, but I have been to the new one a couple of times. And what I love about it is it's really cool, and you should do it sometime. But I stayed in the city, but taking the subway out to the Bronx.
Yep.
And you stop right by the stadium, and then they got all these different shops and people out on the streets. And then the stadium is very big, very massive stadium. But it was a great experience. Really enjoyed that.
That's
I like
awesome.
Dodger Stadium a lot. Like I've been down to Dodger Stadium a ton, but I really like that because they've got great service there. And then I like to do ballpark tours, when I go.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and Colorado, I've been to Colorado recently.
Yep,
Did a
I've been
ballpark
there.
tour. You've been to Rockies?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
That was pretty sweet too.
Yeah. It's in the sight lines. Once again, you got the Rocky Mountains in the backdrop, man. And that's what I'm saying. As far as any live sport, for me, is baseball.
Yeah.
I absolutely love watching it because on TV, it doesn't
No.
give it any justice.
No, what I like about going to baseball games is that, baseball is like when you're at a football game, it's like life and death, right?
Yeah.
Every single second of the game, you're gripping. I can't relax when I'm at a Bronco game. I have fun, but it's just a different feeling because there's only 17 games, so every game matters. But at a baseball game, I can go and I get something to eat, and I can sit and relax, and I can talk to people. It's just a much more casual setting. And then a lot of times what I'll do during a game is, maybe for one inning, I'll go walk around and, just check out some of the pictures or check out some of the shops. Like it's just a more casual environment.
Yeah, absolutely. Get back to the historical thing. I remember, what was it? Roberto Clemente. Yeah, they had a little place there in Pittsburgh where they actually had a little shrine of him. So yeah, even though like I'm a diehard Yankees fan, I'm taking pictures of that because of the history behind it. And that's one of those games. I swear, being that so old, I would think just because it's a pastime, I think it's a little bit more relatable. When you have like maybe families with you.
That's great. So what I do when I go to a ballpark, I like to get a golf shirt from the ballpark. It's kind of a collector's item, so I wear it on the course. But my favorite snack in the world is pretzels. So
Okay.
every ballpark I go to, I get a salted pretzel, and I compare them to other stadiums because my goal before I die is to find the best pretzel that I possibly can. But I just love pretzels, and so I like to get a pretzel, get something to drink, and then sit and watch a little baseball, man. It's the best.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Like I said, it's nothing to be like being outside, in not a dome, but an outside stadium where you can actually feel the atmosphere.
Well, it was cool when I did the Yankee Stadium tour. When it was over, they took us to the outfield. We got to sit and watch batting practice.
Okay.
And so just like that was a very casual thing, but just to watch guys launch balls out into the seats was, pretty sweet.
Yep.
I had never experienced that before. And then I like it because every time, and then they took us out to Monument Park, so I was taking pictures of all the different Yankee legends. You learn interesting facts like the Rockies. What I learned on the tour there is when they were digging up the land for the site where the stadium sits, they unearthed some dinosaur bones and that they donated to a local museum. And that's why the mascot of the Rockies is a dinosaur that you see running around on the field.
Oh, wow.
So I didn't know that, but that's why. And I forgot the type of dinosaur, but that they unearthed the bones, and that's why the mascot's a dinosaur. And then at Dodger Stadium, the one noticeable thing in the sideline is those orange 76 signs that are in the outfield, right, for 76 oil. Well, the reason why those signs are there is the 76 oil helped finance the original Chavez Ravine, the original ballpark.
Yep.
And as part of the agreement, they had it grandfathered in, lifetime signage. So those signs are there because they got lifetime signage, and they'll continue to remain. And so I thought that was pretty cool. You just learn little odds and ends, little details like that, which I think are fun.
Awesome, man.
But baseball's like that. And I know, I think it was Miranda, who is a big-time listener, and she'll reach out to me. She's got a map. She sent me a picture of it, but it's a map. And so each time she visits the baseball stadium, they got a little piece that you put on the map. And so she hasn't been to every one, but her goal is to hit every baseball stadium, before she's done.
That's my goal, too.
So how many more do you have to go? How many stadiums are there?
So there's 32?
Yeah.
I got 4 more.
You're close.
Yeah, L.A., I haven't been there.
So no Dodger Stadium.
Yep.
No Yankee Stadium.
Nope.
Have you
But
been?
that's a new one, so I still count that as.
Okay, so you've been to a Yankee. So what are the other 3?
I haven't been to Houston, Arlington, and what's the other one?
You been to St. Louis?
That's it. That's
St.
it.
Louis.
Yep. Because last year when I went to the Reds.
Oh, you went to America.
Yeah.
Who was I think Godfather? Godfather said he went to a game there and said he enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was cool. It was a good stadium, but yeah, like I said, top for me right now is Pittsburgh, man. Like I never in my life would think I would say that, but yeah, it's Pittsburgh.
Hey, Shacker, what is that stuff from Cincinnati? Is it Cincinnati chili or Cincinnati spaghetti? What do they call that?
Oh, Skyline chili?
Have you had Skyline chili?
Oh, yeah, man. That's a regional thing. I'll let them have that.
Now it tastes like chili. It has
that taste. Cinnamon is sweet. Is a regional thing. So.
Well, now I haven't. Now, when I was in Philly, I went to Army Navy with Travis. But what I liked about the setup there, and so you've been to Citi Field.
Yep.
I was amazed that you've got the basketball arena, the baseball stadium, and the football stadium. They're all right there, and then they got the parking set up. It's like, what a great sports town that is.
Exactly, and that's just because of square footage too. But yeah, that right there, like I said, I still like Pittsburgh over it. But yeah, you're right. That whole complex they got, that's a right model for what you want to have in the city.
Yeah, that blew me away. And then what my buddy who's from Philly told me is he thinks that the key to the Philly cheesesteak, that's done right, it's the bread. It's the roll.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, definitely the bread. And that's one thing I'll give Philly. New York is known for a cheesesteak, or actually it's a chopped cheese. That's what we known for. But yeah, Philly is all about the bread. It's just like if you go to New Orleans, have a po' boy. It's all about that bread. You know what I'm saying?
So what with New York style pizza then, and you're from New York, what is it? Is it the water?
Yes.
Okay. Explain that to me.
It's the minerality, man. It's the minerality because once again, you got that New York tap water. You got the limestone, so you got a lot of filtering, but you also got a lot of minerals you wouldn't get from any tap in the country.
So that is why the crust in New York tastes different.
Exactly, and that's why you can go to any pizzeria, and it doesn't matter. You're going to have good pizza. I wouldn't even say mediocre. You know what I mean? Like, even if you go to, a dollar pizza shop, you're still going to get a good quality pizza because everybody's going to judge on that right there. You know what I mean? So, if you don't have a straight crust, if you go ahead and put it up and it limps. Nah, that's not New York pizza. Throwing that out.
So that's why the bagels are also
Exactly.
Gosh, because I one of my favorite things, like the first time I sat down with a cup of coffee and had a New York bagel toasted, I was just like, this is the greatest thing I've ever tasted. Like, it was just one of those moments where you're like, I don't want to be rushed right now. I want to enjoy this.
Yeah, and that's the
So
thing.
it's the water.
Yeah, exactly. It's the water. I'm telling you, growing up, I thought it was just a myth, but then going around and seeing what people call a bagel or something, no. That is all about the water. And if you hadn't had a Bialy, you need one of those. It'll change your life.
Okay. I want to talk about your story because it's an amazing story, but because you had told me this once. So you actually reached a point in your life where you're in Miami and you lose your job because the restaurant closed down and you're living out of your car that doesn't have good air conditioning.
Yep.
So explain to me how you hit rock bottom and now you're where you're at today. Because that process, I think a lot of people can relate to, but the perseverance that you displayed through that process is pretty amazing. So explain how things went down and how you wound up to now being a professor at Clark College.
Yeah, so that was definitely a tough time.
How many years ago is this?
Wow, this is back about 21 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, 21 years.
So you're mid-20s at this point.
Yep. Yeah, so I was about 25 at the time. Had a good job, right? Getting paid, good salary, sous chef in a restaurant. And it's funny because the owners happen to be from New York. They opened a restaurant down there. And you know that old saying, you're only one paycheck away from being homeless.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I always thought it was a joke until it actually happened to me. So one day I'm going to work, and you see chains on the door. And then a note saying, we will be back. And that never, ever happened. So, from there, it just spiraled. Like, I just could not find a job in the same area or the same place I was living. Lost my apartment, living in my car. I wasn't talking to my family at the time. And I didn't really want them to know anything. So literally, I just had to go ahead and figure out, on my own.
Because you probably feel a little shame.
Oh, yeah. Of course, man. Of course. Because, I had all these expectations of being the next best chef and, going to Johnson & Wales. Oh, yeah, you're going to this expensive culinary school. But, life happens, and that's one thing I realized. You talked about not having AC in Florida. It humbles you, you know what I mean? To the point where, YMCA, that was my spot to go ahead and shower, and I'm still going to work, because I had to eat. You know what I mean? Working at California Pizza Kitchen, so things like that. Humbling yourself to go from, a sous chef at one point. Now I'm a line cook. You still got to eat, but I already looked at that one or two things. Either that's going to go ahead and be the downfall of me, or I can use this as fuel and motivation to go ahead and be better. So I always think about that.
Okay, so you go from a sous chef at a fine restaurant to being a line cook at California Pizza Kitchen. So what led to, give me the steps how you went from there in Miami to here. Give me the process.
Yeah, so, I had to move from Miami at that point, so I moved back to Orlando. It was just one of them things that I just had to figure out where I was going to go. And I would tell you, the main thing that got me out of Florida was going through 3 hurricanes in 2 weeks. So, Hurricane Jean, Hurricane Francis, and Hurricane Charlie. Just going through that in 3 weeks, it was a sign to be like, okay, get out of there. So luckily I had an opportunity. That's why I always tell my students, don't ever burn bridges. I had a friend, I was working for Club Med in Colorado.
Yeah.
So they offered me a job. They're like, hey, we got this position open. It's in Colorado. Can you be here in 2 weeks? I'm like, I'll find a way.
So
and sure enough,
you
that
packed
changed.
up and went to Colorado.
Yep. Colorado, Crested Butte, California. Never been there at all,
But you were in Crested Butte.
Yeah.
That's where we went skiing out there when I lived in Colorado.
And that's what they're known for. 14,000 feet up. I mean, like I said, it changed my life because once again, if you're talking about elevation, not only is the breathing challenging, but cooking. Yes,
it
cooking.
Changes.
Yes, it takes about an hour to boil 5 gallons of water because the air is so thin up there. So it was like I said, it was another challenge. So that's kind of how I looked at it. I looked at it as motivation. Always looked at where I was at and how I never wanted to be there again. But it led me to that opportunity with Club Med. Worked with them through the Dominican Republic, and then went to Oregon.
That's amazing.
You know, took a chance in Oregon, and I've been here ever since. You know.
So but why the Northwest? Was it an opportunity out here?
Yeah, it was definitely an opportunity. I ain't gonna lie, I did chase a girl out here. I'm glad it didn't work out. You know how it goes. You know, met my wife out here, and you know.
Oh, you met your wife here?
Yep.
Where'd you meet your wife at?
So she's from the Dalles. So yeah, you know, met here, and it's just one of them things. And actually, 2 weeks ago,
it was
was
just a random
20
encounter?
years.
It was just you just bumped into her one day?
No. So yeah, what's the app called?
Online.
Yeah, it was online. It was random. You know what I mean? But at the same time, you know, it just worked out. It just worked out. Match. There you go. Match.com. Way back in the day.
Love it.
Yeah.
Did you know right away?
Oh yeah. I could tell, yeah. It took a couple of weeks, or actually a couple of months, but we were just stuck to each other. You know what I mean? So it's just one of the things. You know what I mean? Yeah, I love her to death, and I couldn't be happier, man. You know, and for her birthday to be now with the Knicks is winning, everything happens for a reason, man.
That's right.
Good luck charm.
Yeah, and I love it. So the cool thing is, I would guess, based on what you went through in your experiences, like to literally have no place and you're living out of your car. Like, think about what you're able to communicate to students who may be going through similar struggles or whatever. You've been there and done that, so you can truly relate to so many people that might come through your program now.
No, absolutely, and you're right. I've actually had that happen. I've had students in similar situations, and to the point where I have this rule in my classroom. It's like I treat it like work. So what I'll do is like, hey, whatever anything's going on, if you're going to be late, give me a heads up, right? Give me a text, give me an email or something. And if I don't hear from you, that's why I'm going to go ahead and do that recon work. And I'm glad I do that because once again, it's hard for people to like I said, right? I didn't want my family to know I was, without a home.
Yeah.
So think about a student coming up to you, but I've been able to break through because I've been vulnerable to them and telling them that, hey, you can be at the same position I'm at right now if you just go ahead and put it into work. And have a support system around you, because that's what it's all about. You got to find a support system.
Dude, the elevation at the house we lived at in Colorado was 9,800 feet above sea level.
Okay.
And so my mom went through the same thing because bread, all these different things she was trying to, cakes, all these things. It took her a long time to adjust to the altitude to get things right.
Yep.
It drove her crazy.
Nah, that's the thing. Baking, that's a science, and that's why I like cooking, because it's more of philosophy.
Yeah. Your philosophy is better than science.
Exactly.
All right, more with East Coast Earl. We'll keep things rolling. You got the Rip City. Well, East Coast Earl and I just stumbled onto something. The WNBA does a horrific job of marketing their stars, right? They've got to get their act together.
Man.
They got so many likable players in the league. They've got to do a better job of marketing their stars, because I've gone through YouTube and I've had a chance to pick up some interviews that they've done one-on-one where you get a chance to find out about the person. It's like they've got good personalities, well-spoken, funny. It's like you need more. If more people knew about the individual, I think more people would latch on.
Exactly, man. It's like, think about this with the Knicks, right? Most people, you don't say, oh, we hate the Knicks, even if you don't know about them, but it's about the story, the likability. You got the Nova Knicks, you got all of this backstory. So, yeah.
Yeah, and even though the Knicks don't have, like this year's team, I wouldn't say they don't have that Patrick Ewing type superstar. Brunson's becoming that, but that's why I started enjoying the Knicks, because I'd watch the Nova guys, Mikal Bridges and OG Anunoby and Jalen Brunson, and you see the way they play and how hard they play and the togetherness on the team. I started to like them, right? And when I like somebody, I will watch them and cheer for them. That's what it comes down to.
Exactly.
Even if you're not a fan of the team, if you latch on to certain players on a team, you can enjoy watching them play.
No, you are right. You're definitely right there.
Like I was the same way. Like, growing up as a hardcore Bronco fan, like that was my team. But there were other players, even in division or around the league, that I would get to know, and I'm like, well, I like their story, I like what they're about, and I would enjoy watching them play, right?
I hear you.
And you're a big Liberty fan, aren't you?
Oh yeah, I love the Liberty, man. I was there in '97, when they had what's the name, Teaspoon. Oh my God, well, I can't remember names right here. You got me on the spot. But yeah, Rebecca Lobo. We just couldn't get over the hump because they had the Houston Comets, Cynthia Cooper and all of them. So yeah, but it's a great product if they would just market it. You know what I mean? Because basketball is basketball. You know what I'm saying? Of course, they can't, you don't have dunks like that. But you got Brittany Griner, you got a couple people that could do that. But yeah, they need to market that game more because it's a very good game. I'm stoked about the Fire. I even said that when he was going to come here to town, like, they're going to be good. They're going to surprise some people, and you see what they're doing right now. So shout out to the Fire, no doubt.
All right, so I got to ask, someone wanted me to ask you this. When the Knicks won, did you shed tears of joy?
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie, man. I actually got emotional in Game 4, man. I got more emotional Game 4 because I'm thinking about what my dad would do. You know what I'm saying? Because one memory came through was when we watched them in '99. So they were the 8th seed, and Allen Houston with that shot heard around the world. I remember me and him right after church, we running home to see the game, and we got it in time for that fourth quarter to see that shot go front rim, back of the glass, and right in. So, yeah, just having that emotion there, and that was just the first round of the playoffs, and we became the first 8th seed to go to the finals. That right there, that feeling, and that's how I just thought about him and how he would react seeing OG drop that in, but also how he react, Game 5 and actually seeing the win again. That was it was emotional, man.
Did you think after the Game 4 comeback that the championship was all but sewn up?
It was a wrap. I told you, I even called you after that.
He called me.
I said, hey, man, we just took their soul out. And then Wemby, he didn't even believe he was talking about. He says, yes, everybody knows that we're going to do it. Man, come on. And I'm sorry, everybody's saying that, he's the poster child. I haven't liked that dude since 2024. And I'll tell you why, man. If you remember, the Knicks played San Antonio, down in San Antonio.
Yeah.
Jalen Brunson scored 61. We lost in overtime. And when he tried to get the ball, what Wemby do? He threw it in the stands, man.
Yeah.
And that was 2 years ago. So now I'm glad he got his medicine right there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He don't even want to talk to the media no more. I hope he's a Dan Marino of the NBA, man. That's what I hope. That's right. Hate.
I love it. And what was great about Brunson in that closeout game in Game 5, like he was the one throughout the course of the game that when the rest of the team was struggling, he carried everyone on their back.
Absolutely,
man. He was not going to be denied.
No, and you see, I love his even killiness. He never gets too high, never gets too low. That's how you got to be in the kitchen, man. That's how I am in the kitchen. It's like, it's stoic. They don't know if I'm upset. They don't know if it's doing good because it's always one way because you're always thinking about the end goal. You ain't worrying about what's in front of you. It's like, think about this. You have an angry, crowd outside, right? Or you have things going wrong in the kitchen. Nobody cares about what's going on in the kitchen. I want my food.
Yeah.
So, yeah, once again, they don't need to know all that noise is about being even keel and coming in, completing the mission at the end.
Well, what's great about Brunson, too, is like he accomplished what he set out for. Like he came to New York for the purpose of winning a championship with the Knicks.
Yeah, man, and I don't know.
And he took less money to do it.
I was just going to say, I don't know how many other players in the NBA, because, they millionaires and they always going ahead and talking about, who's better. But he's the 47th player in the league when it comes to 47, man.
Yeah.
Who's going to give up that much? LeBron wouldn't do that.
No.
KD wouldn't do that. Luka wouldn't do that. So that's what I love about him, man, is that sacrifice. He wanted to see the goal and knew the magnitude of the weight of that, bringing that championship to New York, man.
Yeah, and I got to give credit to James Dolan, even though it's painful. I credit him because, he went out and changed the front office, got Leon Rose in, and then he made the change on the coach, and we all thought he was insane, and it turned out to be the right call, right? So he gets credit for getting it right, and Rose able to put the team together, and I thought it was genius that because Brunson made the sacrifice, then all of a sudden you're able to get the Villanova guys in there, and it makes sense to me because you have guys that were on the same team in college. They have that chemistry, and then you put them on the same team together in the NBA. And so the way they're able to work in those crunch time situations because they have an understanding of one another, you can see the difference.
Yeah, man, continuity, that's important. Like I said, I'll equate that to the culinary industry again. It's like, hey, if I got somebody I worked with 10 years ago and I find out they're in the Pacific Northwest and they need a job, I'm like, oh, yeah, let's bring the band back together. So like the Blues Brothers, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They brought the band back together, and they did it.
I think continuity is one of the most underrated values in all of sports. Whether you're talking about an offensive line and having all five guys working together as one, or you're talking about the Villanova guys with the Knicks and that continuity and the understanding they have with one another, it's a great value. And
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
And what I love about the Knicks, what they did is, by taking care of business in the earlier rounds and not messing around, where you drop a game or two and it extends the series. Well, because they only played 4 games from like May 10th up until the finals, that extra time allowed OG to get healthy. So he could do some of the things he did in the finals.
Yeah, that's crazy, man, because if he didn't have that rest, we wouldn't even be talking about this right now. I wouldn't even be here right now.
All right. You got time to hang out one more segment?
Absolutely. Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
East Coast Earl is with us. And then after East Coast Earl, Ken Guffey's going to pop by, and we'll get a chance to talk with him. But love it, man. How about them Knicks?
Yeah! Go, New York, go, New York, go.
What jersey you wearing? You got a Ewing jersey on?
That's right.
Oh, it's badass. Love it, man. You probably enjoyed seeing Houston and Patrick and the old gang back together watching it happen.
I just wish they would just squash the beef for Oakley.
What's up with Dolan? Can't he make it right with Oakley?
Nah, man. He's a billionaire. He ain't got to.
Oh, my gosh.
That's crazy.
You can't disrespect Charles Oakley.
I know, man.
That's one of the toughest dudes I've ever seen in the NBA.
Yes, that's when the NBA was real. No blood, no foul.
All right, East Coast Earl in the studio. You got the Rip City Drive. Hey, what's going on, my friends? It's now 5 o'clock chat here. We're going to start in the world of golf. U.S. Open is underway at Shinnecock. Checking the leaderboard right now. Dustin Johnson and Wyndham Clark at 4 under. Matt Fitzpatrick is at 3 under. And then we have a group of golfers, including Bryson DeChambeau, at 2 under par. Checking the Major League scoreboard for you. Mariners got a big win today over Baltimore by a final of 3-0. Twins over the Rangers 9-3. Guardians top the Brewers in Milwaukee 4-2. Blue Jays 4, Red Sox 3. And right now into the first in Kansas City at 1. And bottom of the fourth in Philly, Mets and Phillies tied up at 3. That 1. And bottom of the fourth in Philly, Mets and Phillies tied up at 3. The Portland Fire got a win last night over Seattle. They will next play Wednesday in Chicago. That tip-off will be at 5. More of the Rip City Drive coming at you right now. All right, Rip City Drive. My man King Guffey going to join me coming up in 20 minutes. And right now, East Coast Earl hanging out with me in the studio as he gets ready to celebrate his wife's birthday. And he's going to take off on a little trip tomorrow. He'll be in Chicago next week. He's going to check out the Fire as they take on the Sky. And he's going to catch a White Sox game as well. So what do you think about studio? I came out and hang out in your spot. What do you think about hanging out in studio, brother?
Nah, that's what's up, man. Like, you know how you get an idea about what a radio studio is going to look like? Well,
Yeah.
I'm blown away. I didn't realize you had this many things going on here, man.
I know, a lot of different things going on. The other thing that jumped out at you, too, and a lot of people don't realize this, like with the cluster, like all the different stations that are around, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it just blew my mind, you know. It's like, you know, what they say in the industry, you know, getting to see how the sausage is made. So this is awesome, man.
Yeah, that's why I like, that restaurant that's down there on the Vancouver waterfront, 13 Coins.
Oh, yeah.
Have you been?
Yep.
Well, my favorite thing to do is to go there, and I sit in the captain's chairs where you're sitting right there at the bar looking at the cooks.
Yes, sir.
Because I like to see how the sausage is made. But we were talking about chemistry. Like, I love watching all of them work together and the communication. And you've got like 4 or 5 people working, you know, vigorously, and they have to move around each other and make sure that they stay safe. But they call out what needs to be dropped on the grill or on the, put in the the heat or whatever's going on. Like, to see that, I just think it's cool because it's the chemistry between those guys is really nice.
No, absolutely. On the line, there's a line code, you call it control chaos.
Control chaos.
Because, yeah, it looks like chaos to everybody else, but it's like, you know, we got unspoken communication. So, yeah.
Now, you mentioned Elements, Chef Earl, as one of the spots, but give me another 1 or 2 spots that you like that maybe other people might enjoy checking out.
So, yeah, the Vancouver area.
Or Portland.
Oh yeah, Portland. I could go all day. I'll tell you. You know, shout out to Reel 'Em In. That's my favorite chicken spot here in Portland. So yeah, right there on Division. Been going there for years. So definitely Reel 'Em In.
What's your favorite thing on the menu there? What do you normally grab?
Oh, it's all about the chicken and JoJo. So I have like the 3-leg meal. You know, but anybody going there.
Now, with the JoJo's, do they have one of those pressure cookers that
Yep,
crisp
the pressure fried, the broaster, that's right. So if you're in the Midwest or if you're in the Michigan area, you know about broasted chicken. So it's like literally a pressure cooker that fries.
Now I'm assuming, like you were talking about how food costs is one of the things you teach at your culinary school. Chicken would seem to be one of the better items right now in terms of cost, right?
Oh, yeah, man. If you look at beef, the cost of beef, cost of pork, all meat's gone up. Seafood's ridiculous. So, yeah, I mean, chicken, that's literally the blank slate when you talk about a chef. Like, chicken, you could do it in so many different ways.
How would you describe a JoJo? Because it's not really a French fry. What exactly is it? I know they taste wonderful, but how would you describe that?
I'll just say it's a potato wedge. You know, it's almost like it's got like a steak fry texture, but is as big as a potato wedge. So
but without those pressure cookers, it wouldn't taste the same.
Exactly. It's all about that technique and the equipment.
I used to work, before I got into radio, I spent some time, I'd work a few days a week out at Tom's Pizza in North Portland, and I remember when Tommy he goes, "Come back here, you got to see this." Like he bought he was going to put JoJo's on the menu, so he got one of the pressure cookers. Like, he was so happy that he bought the pressure cooker.
Yep.
Those things are powerful, you know?
Oh, yeah, definitely. There's only a handful of restaurants that actually has it because, yeah, like you said, you got to invest a pretty penny in it, and you just have to have a product dedicated for that, too.
Yeah, that's great. So what else have you got planned? So I don't know how it works with your schedule, but I'm assuming you get some extended time off during the summer before the fall quarter kicks off, right?
Oh, yeah. So I do work the summertime because we do have a summer session that's 8 weeks. So I do the latter part. I split it with another professor there. So I work August. So literally I'm off on, after today, I'm off until August 3rd. So yeah, it's nice to have a nice little break to kind of reset and relax.
All right, and then you're going to be in Chicago for work. So like, what is the convention you're going to go to in Chicago? What are you learning there?
So it's called CAFE. So it's a long acronym, but it's the Center for the Advancement of Food Service Educators. So literally, it's a think tank with educators in food from everything from K-12 to post-secondary, and it's a big think tank. Like, literally, we have so many seminars, so many hands-on projects that we go together, but I always come away learning something out of that, and that's why I like going there, because it's just so many things that goes on that everybody is going through similarly.
Yeah.
But to actually have a couple of days of talk shop and just know that you're not crazy, somebody else is experiencing it, is always refreshing.
Well, will you learn something, or you'll hear an idea where you can add it to your curriculum or bring it into what you're doing over at Clark?
Absolutely. That's what this whole conference is about. It's literally called a retreat for that reason. So we can go ahead and, best practices, how to go ahead and teach better, how to go ahead, student retention, how to look beyond the scope of the kitchen, how to make it, it's all about the buy-in of what we want to give to the students. So, yeah, it's nice to have like-minded people there rather than just going to some trade show where they're selling me a bunch of things.
One thing I've been trying to do is, like, my parents, they come from a generation where they're kind of hooked on, like chain restaurants when they go out.
Yeah.
It drives me crazy because I try to get them to go check out local places, but they're always hesitant. Why is that? Is that just the generation in which they grew up in, where they like things being a certain way, or what's up with that?
Yeah, because if you look at it, right, in that generation, you're looking at it, all these corporations say how hard cooking is. Let us do it for you. Let us do it for you. So, yeah, it's a convenience factor. Yeah, it does free up time where you can just go ahead and get food at a gas station now. But, yeah, we're reverting back to that whole motto is like, you are what you eat. So why wouldn't you just go ahead and make the time to eat healthier, So, I mean, I understand both arguments with it, but I enjoy cooking. I enjoy, sustainability, minimally processed food. So, yeah, that's one thing that is important to me.
Have you seen that new place in downtown Vancouver? I think it's called Minari Market. It's a new spot, and what you do is when you go in, it's like an instant ramen store. So it was, I think it's a Korean lady that put it together. But you go in and you pick all the different. You can pick the different noodles that you want. And then you pick the toppings, and then you prepare it yourself, and then they got places where you can sit down and eat?
I have not, but I'm going to check it out now that you mentioned that.
Yeah,
wow.
It's brand new. It just opened up like a week and a half or 2 weeks ago.
Okay, all right.
And
now,
so
check it out.
Someone was explaining the concept to me, and so I went down there. I was going to check it out. I was just curious on opening day, but the line was wrapped around the building.
Oh,
and so
wow.
It's one of those deals where I drove by, I was like, what's up? And then I drove right out of there,
I got you.
But I'm always interested in these new concepts. But the other thing, I don't know if you've seen these popping around on social media, but with the World Cup now, and you got all these people from different countries in for the soccer, what's amazing is like there's some people who are putting together videos because they're being exposed to American cuisine for the first time, like Texas-style barbecue.
Yep.
Or these different, like one guy went to Cheesecake Factory. Like they're literally blown away by the food and the barbecue and the offerings here in America. They're like, what in the world's going on here? But I love watching it.
No,
to get their reaction.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just a different way. In America, everybody gets what they want, and is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So,
What's your favorite style barbecue?
Ooh, wow, man. You're going to put me on the spot there. Sticking to my roots, I would definitely have to say North Carolina barbecue.
That's what I thought you were going to say is Carolina barbecue.
Yep. So I would say North and South because it's almost a hybrid. I love
but
the
what's
mustard
the difference?
sauce.
But what's the difference between the two?
Okay, so if you're looking at Carolinas, it's broken up into regions. So let's say, is mainly based on the sauce and the part of the animal. So, like Western Carolina, they're going to be about the Boston butt, right? Yeah. And they're probably going to be more about the tomato-based sauce. If you go into the middle, the central part of the Carolinas, it's all about the mustard. So you get the German influence, so you get the mustard-based sauces, and they're going to use whole hog. And the same thing on the east. In the east side, you're going to use whole hog, but they're going to use a vinegar-based sauce. So that's kind of how you kind of differentiate it. But for me, I actually like to combine all of it together because it's all good. You know what I mean? It's all good.
That's great. And would you like, what type of sides do you like? I grew up eating fried okra from Oklahoma, cornbread.
Man. Yes, sir. So, yeah, traditional barbecue sauce. And I'll tell you, that's another reason why I have problems eating barbecue out here, because some people, they don't focus on the sides. And to me, that makes the meal. Barbecue, yeah, is going to be good. You know,
where have you gone in town for the best greens?
Oh, best greens. Whew. Oh, man. Besides my house, I would say, yeah, because I throw down on greens. I'll give him a plug. My man Marcus over there at Miss Delta.
Okay.
I do like his greens. But we talking about ribs, hands down. Matt's Barbecue, you got it on lock. Keep doing your thing, Matt.
Matt's Barbecue.
Yeah. Matt's Barbecue is legit. Podness too. I got to give Podness pick because that's the first barbecue.
What did I have at Podness? They have the Frito pie.
Yes.
Where they just open up a bag of Fritos and they put the barbecue on top of it. Like the first time I got it, I was like, I'm looking at a split open bag of Fritos I was like, this is amazing.
Yes, sir. That's Texas for you. You know what I mean? So, they do a good job. And over there in the river, Daddy D's, he's up there in Woodland. He has a good product. And then, I think that's
that's a pretty good pull on your part to mention Daddy D's.
Oh, yeah. Donnie, he gives back to the community. But, yeah, he's been doing this thing for years. So I got to give respect to the OGs. You know what I mean?
All right, East Coast Earl, hanging out with us in studio. I just want to give you the best, man. Congratulations. Your Knicks got it done, baby.
Sir. Go New York, go New York, go.
Happy 40th birthday to your wife, Erin. You get a chance to celebrate. You're going to go on a little trip tomorrow morning.
Yes, sir.
You got to go home and pack now.
Yeah, I know, man. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, though. It's going to be nice. So,
the cabin's nice, too?
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be really nice, tranquil.
Looks like the weather's going to be good, too.
Yeah, it's going to be great, man. No, I appreciate you having me
on,
I love
you, man. You're the best, dude. Congrats.
Same here, man.
And,
appreciate you.
Anytime. You're always welcome on the show.
All right.
All right, that's East Coast Earl, Chef Earl. And let's make sure I got the title right because I always screw it up. He is the tenured professor of cuisine management at Clark College. Big thanks to him. We'll come back, and my man Ken Guffey's going to join me in the studio. He's... friend. All right, my pleasure to have my good friend. He is. All right, my pleasure to have my good friend. He is the president of First Response Security back in studio, Ken Guffey. And, dude, thanks for coming by. It's great to see you again.
Great seeing you, Chad.
We have a lot of good things to talk about and something that's near and dear to my heart. So I've been encouraging you to do it because you're someone that takes your workouts seriously. You've got a terrific physique. And I'm like, I had assumed when I first met you that you had probably done a bodybuilding show. You have not. You're getting ready to take on that challenge for the very first time. You told me when you walked in the door you've committed to doing the show. So when is the show?
October 2nd at Chinook Winds. So Chase for the Eagle.
So we got, what, about 4 months?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, have you brought on a coach, or are you working with someone that's been through the process to help you go through it for the first time?
I have. And, it's funny because I've never felt like, well, I've been working out my whole life. I can, figure this part out. But now having somebody that can kind of dial in the nutrition side of thing, dial in the posing, which is completely foreign to me. It's been nice to have somebody else that knows that process.
Yeah, and that's what's helpful. My workout partner, one of my best friends forever, Luke, he has, been through the process many a time, so he was able to walk me through it. But, there's so many things that go into it that I didn't even think about. There was a lady in town in Vancouver back in the day who she would create the trunks that you would wear, your posing trunks, when you get on stage. So I got the phone number for her, and then she created the trunks for me. And then over the course of time, the tanning solution that you would use for your body. And for those who don't know, the reason why you want your body to be tan is because when you're on stage, the darker your skin tone, the light reflects off differently, which will show your definition and everything. So when I started out, it was like that was the hardest process in the first competition was, you had to paint on like a couple of different coats of this tanning solution. And at that point, you're sitting there like, 2.5 to 3% body fat. So, and you're getting this cold stuff painted on you. So you're cold and you can't sit down. You got to stand up because it's got to dry. That process was miserable. But then they came out with Dream Tan and some other products that were much better. So it got better. But all these little things, when you go through it for the first time, just having someone to walk you through that is everything.
Yeah, well, I'm definitely looking forward to it. But, you're not selling it very well right now.
But that was back, my first one that I did was like 96. So a lot of things have changed since then, but I'm most excited for you because what I love about the bodybuilding competition is that it's not about getting on stage and going through your poses and you have judges who determine, whether or not you win a trophy or not. For me, that wasn't what it was about. What I love about it is the process, right? So for me, it usually took about 3.5 to 4 months to prepare for a competition. So what I would do is from day one, I would have everything charted out, macronutrients, calories, workout plan, the whole deal. And so I enjoyed the day-to-day process of walking through that. And then when you arrive on competition day, I like to looking back and saying, okay, did I do all the things that were necessary to be in the best possible condition today? And if you can answer yes to that, then you already win. But I like the process. And then the challenge of every day, like when you wake up, you've got to make proper food choices. Make sure you drink the proper amount of water, all these different things that go into it. Which can be challenging, but I just like, because our ultimate enemy is ourselves, right?
Absolutely.
So when I look in the mirror, I want to challenge me. And so I found that the competition was one great way to be able to do that.
No, I agree 100%. And it's kind of, for me, it's, it's been a journey. We talked about the book, last time. And this, going on stage is kind of that next step. It's something I kind of said to myself I wanted to do a long time ago. Mm-hmm. Never thought I'd wait till I was 45 to step on stage. But it's like, you know what? Never too late. And the whole idea is about staying true to my own word, right? Now for just over 2 years solid, I've been, 100% carnivore, wrote the book. And again, I'm not saying, you just had the gentleman in here that was talking about all the greens, man. I was getting hungry.
Yeah.
But for me, it's not really about the food. It's about the discipline behind it.
Yeah.
And this is just another thing that I like doing hard things. And so I look at this as an opportunity to kind of prove to myself, no one else, to prove to myself that I can do it. So.
Yeah, I think that's the beauty of it. And I think you and I have talked about this, but I went through, my buddy Luke and I were talking about this the other day. If I look back on my life, the things that I enjoy the most or take the most pleasure from are the things that I've had to really earn, right?
Yep.
Things that come easy, you don't appreciate as much, but when you have to go through a process to arrive at a certain point, and there was some sweat equity or pain or challenges involved in that, like that to me is what I love that, because I think that's what causes us to grow, right?
Absolutely.
To develop, to grow, to get more character, to gain better understanding of ourselves, and self-discipline and mastery over yourself is very difficult. It's challenging. So I love that you're going through that.
Thank you, and you were a big part of that. So I appreciate that.
That's so great. So what? I was going to ask you about the carnivore diet that you've been going on. What was the decision-making process to make you go carnivore? What was the thinking behind that?
Honestly, it was a challenge. I went out, I like to spend time in the woods. I was with a buddy of mine, and we went out scouting before hunting season, a few years back. And we just spent the entire, day out in the woods hiking, and he was talking about it. He said, hey, I started following this guy on Instagram. He does the carnivore diet, and he's telling me all about it. And I'm thinking to myself, man, there's no way I could do that. I'm thinking, I think I eat pretty well, but there's no way I could give up. I like rice. I like bread. I like, I like the occasional, lollipop or whatever. So the next day I literally said, you know what? I'm just going to try it for 30 days. And the goal was 30 days. And then 30 days turned into 60 days. And then I just kind of said to myself, you know what? Just keep going. And now, truth be told, I'll be, 100% honest. There's been a couple of times during that time where, like, Julie and I have been like, hey, she's like, hey, we're going to Joshua Tree. Can you just go on vacation mode? And so I'm like, okay, fine. I have a cheat day, and then I just feel like crap. And so I'm like, you know what? It's not worth it. And so she's been nothing but supportive. And what's great is, and I love this, nobody else, my kids, her kids, nobody else in the house eats that way. So I cook. I'll make the full meals, and I stay true to myself, my word, and I just eat the proteins. So
that's terrific. I remember when I was getting ready for my first competition, I was probably about a month out, so my caloric intake was lower, and I was moving in the right direction, but I had a moment where I got weak, and I ate a Nilla wafer, and it tasted, because I hadn't had anything like that in months, and it tasted so good that it turned into a box of Nilla wafers. And I went through this feeling of guilt and panic, and so I called Luke. I was like, what am I going to do? He's like, look, it's not going to ruin everything. You still got plenty of time. He goes, you're going to wake up, and you're going to use the bathroom, and then you move on, and you got to get right back on track.
Yeah.
And he goes, it's okay. You derailed, which you shouldn't have done, but you did. So the question is, how do you respond? And so the next day I woke up, and I got right back on track. But that was a learning experience, right?
Yeah,
Where I had a moment of weakness, I gave in, I panicked, and then Luke talked me off the ledge, and then I pressed forward. But, you learn things about yourself through that process.
Absolutely.
But so with the carnivore diet, I'm not as familiar with that, but like what type of meats do you normally eat? Is it chicken and fish? Is it some beef, or is it whatever meat you want?
Pretty much whatever meat I want. Now, I don't do anything that's highly processed, right? Nothing, no bologna. I typically, if I'm going to get something that's packaged, I'll take a look at the content. What's the carb? What's the sugar?
Yeah.
Those are the two things that I, avoid the most. I eat some cheeses. Again, some cheeses have a little bit of carbs in them, especially when they're highly processed. So I'll steer clear of that stuff. But it's literally meat. I prefer red meat or chicken. I do love fish. So it's usually one of those three, and then I'll do eggs and a little bit of cheese. And the only other exception I make is I'll do black coffee in the morning, and that's it.
That's great. That's awesome. Ken Guffey, president of First Response Security, is in studio. So you were showing me pictures of the robotics.
Yes,
dude, it's pretty awesome.
How
excited are you about this technology and what it's going to do for you and for the relationships with your clients?
Yeah, I am so excited. I am so excited because as I mentioned before, it's the goal is to have when a client has a need, it's to find the right tool for the problem, right solution for the problem. And what the APU can do is give that perimeter security, give that ability to have 24/7 coverage, the ability for it to be 100% autonomous, to send that alert. And there's some competition in the space. I'm going to be honest. There's a little bit of competition. What is the game changer, though, when I start to explain what it can do, is actually having that live body on the other end.
Yeah.
Right now, there's a couple municipalities that have pulled the trigger on getting a unit that you find out the next day that something happened. That's not proactive at all, right? Whereas what we have to offer, every single person that we've met with is super excited about moving forward because, again, when that thing goes into alert, it sees something 250 feet away, thermal imaging, nothing's going to get by it. And all of a sudden, it's critical thinking on the other end, a live person saying, hey, what should I do here? Is that person destroying a monument, or are they just simply taking a selfie, right? And having that real person that makes that decision, and then having the officers to be able to respond is what the game changer is. And we're able to package it in one full swoop.
And that really is the key to what sets or separates first response from the rest, right? Because you have people that are monitoring the video.
Yep.
And if it is a problem, if it is someone destroying a monument, then they can dispatch out someone right away.
Exactly.
With your response time.
Exactly. What makes us so unique is I used to say we're 3 separate companies. We are technically 4 now. So super excited about that.
So give me the 4. Give me the 4 now with the addition of the robotics.
So we have first response systems, which is our electronic security side of the house. Installing cameras, access control, intrusion systems, fire systems, both residential and commercial.
Yeah.
Then we have our central station, iWatch Communications, that we own. It's our own UL rated 24/7 central station. They're monitoring, schools, clients, properties, you name it, intrusion, fire systems, cameras.
And you've got people, and I've seen it. It's a great setup, but you've got people in that space all the time.
24/7, 365. Multiple people, multiple stations doing dispatch, monitoring, camera monitoring, you name it. Then we have the guard services, which we were founded on back in 1989, which technically has 2 different divisions. We have our patrol side of things, which patrol and alarm response, and then we have the static security officers. Then our 4th is first response robotics, which what's so awesome about that is it really kind of brings those other 3 into a unique solution for our clients.
That is so awesome. Ken Guffey, president of First Response Security, is in studio. What has been the response? Like when you go out and talk to potential clients with the APUs, like what is the reaction when they're seeing it for the first time?
Honestly, they're blown away. And, what we thought was going to, what is very important to me was starting slow and making sure that we can scale. I'm really big about doing things right. I mean, just talking about my personal life, I'm very, very big on the way I run the business of making sure that things are done correctly. What I didn't expect with the kind of response we've gotten is, okay, how quickly can we get it, and how many can we get, which is a good problem to have. But every single person that we've met with, a number of municipalities, a number of commercial clients, they've been so blown away. They're like, okay, let's get this thing going. So it's pretty exciting. But again, I want to make sure that, we can scale it right so that we can serve the clients the right way.
Gosh, I just can't believe with the technology what, things are being created now and what the possibilities are.
Yeah, it's pretty spectacular. And having the exclusive, partnership with the robotics company gives us the ability to really kind of tailor the software for what the client needs. So
now, how do you do that?
So again, let's say, I've met with a good buddy of mine. I won't give the details, but police officer,
yeah.
chief of police, and he says, "Gee, can we use it?" And and he had an idea, and I'm like, "Gee, I don't know. Nobody's asked that, right?" And so went back to the robotics company and say, "Hey, they're wanting to kind of use it in for parking enforcement and this, that, and the other." And there's like, "Yeah, we just write the code." So having the ability to go back to the manufacturer and say, hey, here's what I need, and this is kind of what I'm thinking, it makes it, again, a very tailored solution for the client.
That's great.
So,
and really, that's what it's all about for you. Like the reason why you have invested in and gone in a direction with the APUs is that it's not just because you like technology, but you're just continuing to work to find solutions for your clients, right? To have as many offerings as possible to meet their needs.
Exactly. It's like I've said before, it's about that partnership. And, if all you got is that one tool in the toolbox and everything looks the same, but when you've got the ability to say, hey, what's the right situation, right need in this situation? And sometimes it's a combination of things. Sometimes it's, let's say that a client wants an APU. Well, we're talking to a shopping center right now where it's like, just an APU doesn't make sense. But if you had a couple officers that are able to respond to that in real time, then it makes all the sense in the world. And it saves them a whole lot of money. So it's like, yeah, let's do that. And so it's about finding the right solution with all the tools available.
And with the technology, I think what you're explaining too, what's amazing is with the real-time video that you're getting, like this is not like the old grainy video from the local mart, like back in the day, right? Like you're getting like high def visuals in real time.
Absolutely. It's 4K video. It's got the infrared, the PTZ on the top. So it's got six cameras along the sides of this thing on the mast. It's got 6 cameras. And anytime one of those cameras sees something, it automatically alerts the PTZ to take a look, right? You set the analytics. You say, hey, I want it only to tell me if there's people and it's within these parameters. So you can, black out zones and say, hey, I don't care if somebody's on this public sidewalk, but as soon as they step onto this area, I want it to go into alert. One of those cameras gets it in analytics, the PTZ zooms in, the thermal imaging, let's say it's at night, that thermal imaging is able to pick it up and it comes into our central station as an alert. They're then able to make a critical decision. The other great thing is with this particular unit, when you talk about robotics, not to geek out too much, but there's 5 levels of AI when it comes to robotics. This is level 4, which means that it's actually able to make critical decisions. So here's an example. Let's say that it's set on a path, and let's say it's a golf course, and it's on that cart path. And because of the time of the day, you say, hey, I want you to stay on this schedule. You're going to stay on the cart path. Well, let's say that a branch comes down over the top of that. And now all of a sudden it stops and says, okay, should I go to the left? Should I go to the right? It gives itself 6 feet of decisions. Like I can go 6 feet around it to the left. I can go 6 feet around it to the right. Let's say that all of a sudden it says, nope, I don't have that as an option. It'll send an alert to iWatch, to our central station, that says, hey, what do you want me to do? They look at it, you manipulate the camera and say, nope, just go right over the top, no problem. It goes over the top. It learns that. Next time around that same branch, it says, I know what to do. I'm going over the top of this. So,
are you kidding me?
I'm dead serious.
That's amazing.
The technology is mind blowing. It's pretty cool.
So if it's on a golf course, what if a deer or a coyote or an animal large enough to be detected comes by?
So again, it depends on what you have the analytics set to.
So if you have a program to pick up humans, then it would ignore the animal that's running by.
It'll still see it, and it'll put a red box around it because it knows that something is there. It will not send that alert if we tell it, I only want you to go into alert on people, right?
Wow.
Now, here's what's kind of cool about that is it also integrates into clients' what they call a VMS. That's their video management system. So if a client integrates these cameras into that system, they can go back and see exactly what happened on their property. Now, the analytics on the camera, they're also going to get a report from us if we took action on anything. So it's pretty cool.
That's cool. I've got an APU unit at home that monitors all traffic in the backyard of possums and raccoons. It's called Puppy Shots. Nice. At all hours of the day, too. He's on top of it.
Nice.
But the problem is I can't program him to know when to shut up.
Yeah, he doesn't know. He doesn't have an off switch.
No, he doesn't, unfortunately. All right, Ken Guffey, president of First Response Security, is in the studio. We're going to have more with him when we come back on the Rip City Drive. You can always check him out. Just go online, fr-inc.com, or you can give him a call at 503-207-5300. That's fr-inc.com, or call 503-207-5300. We'll come back and get an update from City Drive on your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio 620. On your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio 620.
Wow.
And so think about what that gas money they're giving up is so worth it because now
Yeah.
people are showing up.
Yep.
All right, King Guffey, president of First Response Security in studio, especially like of AI, just because of the unknown. I noticed that when I talk to family members, especially like of AI, just because of the unknown. I noticed that when I talk to family members, especially like, older family members, the uncertainty. But, I certainly know AI, like we talked about with the technology and security, how it's definitely going to help, clients and your relationships in the business, which is great. But I've used ChatGPT on numerous occasions for different topics or things that I'm researching, and like it can be a helpful tool.
Absolutely. And yes, I mean, I deal with that on a regular basis, not just in the field. Obviously, the elephant in the room when we start talking about robotics is replacing people,
Yeah.
right? And I've feel like I've really worked hard at communicating with our staff about the intention of this, where we're going with this, the fact that it's not here to replace, but to augment and to create other opportunities. But even in the staff, in the admin staff in the office, it's been something that has been a struggle. I would venture to say with every company is the fear of, AI replacing them. And, if I get too involved in it, they're going to realize they don't need me, et cetera. But I actually did a class on that recently with our staff. So.
Oh, you did?
I did.
And what was the reaction to that when you went through it with them in the class?
It was actually very positive. I actually kind of just talked about the fact that, hey, maybe we're looking at this wrong. I kind of did. I love math. I used the whiteboard and I said, look, if we got 30 admin staff, which is roughly what we have in our office, 200 employees, but only about 30 there in the office for admin, said, if you think about it, that's 30 times 40, that's 1,200 hours a week. If AI can come in and do some of those, repetitive tasks, scheduling, some things with accounts receivable, things like that are just continuously repetitive type things. If that could take 50% of that workload, it takes 600 hours that AI now can do. That gives those 30 staff members now 600 additional hours. I said, that's basically like saying we can keep the same 30 employees and do 45 employees worth of work. It makes us that much more effective, that much more efficient, and that much better for our clients.
Based on your knowledge of technology, like what's coming in the future with AI that you're excited about?
One of the biggest things with AI that excites me is, from a security standpoint, is cameras are going to continue to change and evolve the security industry. Cameras can now do so much more. There's no need for things like a motion sensor or glass break anymore. A camera can do it. It can sense motion. It can go into alert, send an alarm alert, just like a motion sensor can. It can tell the difference between a glass break, a gunshot, yelling, all of those types of analytics that you can put on cameras. It can even take, and do things like a smoke detector or heat detector. Now, there's fire code that'll slow that progress down, but eventually we will start to see things like that.
That's pretty awesome. Gosh, that's cool. It's neat when I hear you talk about this stuff. Like all of this is like right up your alley, right?
It is. I'm kind of I might not look it, but I'm a bit of a nerd.
And that's okay though. It's like, I like seeing people nerd out on the things that they enjoy. But what's cool is that you're able to nerd out, and yet it applies to the business and to what you're doing with First Response Security, where you're able to apply it, and then you get to see the end result where you're helping out one of your relationships with your clients. Like that's the best.
100%. I was telling you at the break. I mean, I just did. Speaking of ChatGPT, I was able to use it in a way recently where I even lowered, took a look at kind of some staffing issues and overtime and what we were spending on payroll in a particular department, and was able to, kind of just go back and forth with ChatGPT and create different, bots to kind of build some analytics, and kind of went to a schedule change, was able to say, okay, well, what if I did this much of an increase, per person, average this amount? What if they worked this amount of hours? What if there was a 5% overtime? What if 5 people per payroll called out sick? What if 6 people? What would this look like? And run just a whole bunch of myriad of different, statistics. and ended up taking that department. We implemented some changes of schedules in March. And since then have taken that department from about 6% overtime per pay period to less than 0.5%. And that's just simply the multiplying. It would have taken me weeks and weeks and weeks being able to use, the AI and analytics. It just made it a game changer.
And what's great about that is that I think what you told me was you save the company money. Yep. The people are still making the same amount of money.
Yep.
And they're getting more rest in the process.
And they literally work 3 days a week. They have 4 days off. And because of that, the call-offs have gone down significantly. They enjoy, coming to work that much more. They're that much more engaged. So it's again, when done right, AI and, advanced technology can actually be your friend.
And how long? That would have taken you a long time on the whiteboard, right?
It would have. I want to say I would have gotten there, but who knows if I would have. But it would have taken me forever.
All right. If you have any questions, if you want to reach out, you can go to the website, First Response Security. Go to fr-inc.com, fr-inc.com. Or you can give them a call. It's 503-207-5300, 503-207-5300. That's right. I'm talking about First Response Security in a category of 1 because everyone else falls short. Ken Guffey, their president, in studio hanging out. Next time you come in, we'll get an update on the book, which is close to being ready, right?
It sure is. It sure is.
And I'm proud of you, man. I'm excited. I just have one request. I want to go to your show so I can see it with my own eyes.
I would love that. You're
All right.
welcome.
Big thanks to Ken Guffey. Big thanks to Chef Earl, East Coast Earl, for coming in studio. Michael here on the Rip City Drive. The Rip City Drive.